You said something hours ago, a sentence, maybe two, and it landed wrong, or you think it did. You're not even sure. You read their face for a fraction of a second before the conversation moved on. Now you're here, rebuilding that fraction of a second in your mind like a forensics team. You've tried to stop. You've told yourself it doesn't matter. You've reminded yourself they've probably forgotten it by now. You've Googled how to stop overthinking at midnight and read 11 articles that all said the same thing. None of them helped, because they were treating the symptom. What you're dealing with goes deeper than overthinking. Once you understand what's actually happening in your brain, in your nervous system, in the patterns built long before this conversation, you'll finally know why the standard advice never works, and what does. Here's something nobody says clearly enough. Overthinking what people think of you in a thinking problem. It feels like one. It lives in your head. It speaks in sentences. It has an internal voice and arguments. A whole courtroom drama happening between your ears, but it starts in your body. In a threat detection system that's doing its job exactly as designed. In 2000, psychologist Mark Baldwin ran experiments where he showed participants a subliminal image. Flashed so briefly, they never consciously registered it of either an approving face or a disapproving one. The participants who saw the disapproving face performed worse, felt less confident, generated more negative self-assessment. They were responding to a threat they never consciously perceived. That's not overthinking. That's a surveillance system set to high sensitivity. And it's been running that way for a very long time. Because at some point in your history, being wrong about how someone felt about you had real consequences. Your brain has a region called the medial prefrontal cortex. It's sometimes called the social brain. It activates specifically when you're thinking about what other people think of you, not what you think, what they think. In 2006, neuroscientists Lieberman and Eisenberger found this region activates with the same intensity. Whether you're being socially evaluated by someone in the room or just imagining being evaluated, your brain cannot tell the difference between the actual judgment and the imagined one. Which means every time you replay a conversation and imagine a negative interpretation, your brain experiences it as socially real, as happening, as threat. And here's where it gets darker. The same study found that people with anxious attachment, people who grew up uncertain about whether their emotional needs would be met, showed significantly higher activation in this region. Their social surveillance system wasn't just active. It was hyperactive, scanning constantly, interpreting ambiguity as threat. Because that's what ambiguity had always meant. The psychologist David Richo described the 5 A's of healthy attachment: attention, acceptance, appreciation, affection, and allowing. When those were absent or inconsistent in early life, the nervous system develops a kind of permanent question mark about its own value. Am I okay? Are they upset? What did I do? What do they think of me? That question mark doesn't turn off when the situation changes. It just finds new evidence to interrogate. I know you've tried to logic your way out of this. You've told yourself they're probably not thinking about you at all. Statistically, people are mostly thinking about themselves. You've read that. It's even true. And it doesn't help. Not because it's wrong. Because you're trying to use your prefrontal cortex, the rational, thinking part of your brain, to override a system that runs faster than thought. Your amygdala, the brain's alarm system, processes social threat in roughly 200 milliseconds. That's faster than you can form a sentence, faster than consciousness catches up. By the time you're telling yourself to calm down, your body's already flooded with cortisol. The story's already been written. You're not preventing the overthinking at that point, you're just arguing with a script that's already running. And here's what nobody mentions. Overthinking isn't just painful. It's functional. At some level, your system believes that if you analyze it enough, you'll figure it out. You'll find the thing you did wrong and you'll know how to fix it. Or you'll confirm you're okay and you can relax. But it's not solving. It's the illusion of control in a situation where the actual variable, What someone else thinks is completely outside your reach. You can't think your way to certainty about another person's mind. Nobody can. You might recognize yourself in some of this. You send a message and then you reread it 6 times, looking for how it could be misinterpreted. You leave a social event and spend the drive home debriefing yourself. Not on what you enjoyed, on what you said that might have landed wrong. Someone doesn't reply to your message for a few hours, and you've already built a narrative about why. What you did, what shifted, what they think now. You stay quiet in conversations because the cost of saying the wrong thing feels higher than the cost of disappearing. And on the rare occasions when you do get clear feedback, when someone explicitly tells you you're doing well, you're appreciated, it doesn't land the way you need it to. It helps for about 20 minutes. Then the question mark comes back. That last part is the clearest signal that this isn't really about them, because their reassurance can't fix something that was never about their opinion in the first place. There's no technique that turns this off. I won't pretend otherwise. But there is a reorientation that changes it slowly, honestly, over time. The psychologist Kristen Neff found something that sounds simple, but isn't. People who could treat their own suffering with the same basic kindness they'd offer a friend showed significantly reduced anxiety and social comparison, not because they stopped caring what people thought, but because their internal environment became less hostile. When your inner world is a place of constant judgment, of course you're hypervigilant about external judgment. You're already living under verdict internally. External verdict is just more of the same. What shifts the overthinking ain't more self-monitoring. It's building a relationship with yourself, where the question, what do they think of me, becomes genuinely less urgent because you have another source of stability that isn't contingent on their answer. One concrete starting place. When you catch yourself in the loop, ask a different question. Not what did they think, that answer lives in their head, not yours. Ask instead, what do I know to be true about what I said and why I said it? That question has an answer. It lives in your body, not theirs. And practicing it is how the nervous system slowly learns that your worth doesn't require external verification. You're not overthinking because you're weak or neurotic or fundamentally broken. You're overthinking because some part of you learned that being wrong about how someone felt about you was dangerous. Your brain built a system to prevent that. It just works too hard, too long. You can't unlearn it overnight, but you can build something alongside it, a growing body of evidence, gathered day by day, that your value doesn't live in someone else's perception of you. That's not a quick fix. It's something better than that. It's permanent. If you want to understand where this pattern started, the next video goes directly into that. It's worth watching.